didn't sew this. I took your pins out. Welcome in. Looks like I have one viewer. Hi, Buzzy Burden. What's up? Welcome to my live. Tonight I am hopefully finishing up sewing a blazer. So that's my goal tonight, sew this blazer. I've learned some fun facts about going live on YouTube. You can like the live by hitting the 3 dots in the corner. You hit the 3 dots, you can hit like there. That's how you like the live. I couldn't figure out that before. Let's see what else we got here. You can send super thanks. You can send gifts called rubies. We'll learn that. You can send rubies to creators who are going live, and you can do super thanks as well. You can also follow me for my live. So I've learned a lot. It's like trying to get the hang of this system, and I'm just like so different than what I'm used to. So I'm learning a lot about being more on TikTok, more than being on TikTok, being on YouTube, because it's very different on TikTok. But I'm trying to grow my page here. So I figured I'd spend a couple hours a week going live over here. Meet some new people, talk to more people about learning how to sew and becoming crafters and hobbyists like myself. I'm definitely feeling like I need to change my needle. Like it's been a hot second and it's sounding kind of iffy on the satin fabric. Oh, welcome. There's quite a few people here. There's 7 people. 7 people in the live. And again, as I was just saying, I learned some new things about vertical lives or lives that show up in the shorts. If you want to... Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. If you want to like the live, you have to click the 3 dots at the top, this top, to like the live. YouTube needs to work on making that a little bit better. They need to make it a little easier to like the live. But that's what they said. The like button for the live is inside the 3 little dots. All right. So we have the body of our little satin blazer. It has this really cool kind of dragon fabric on the inside that I'm very obsessed with. This jacket did not have lining, the back lining. So I just flatlined it so that I could get the lining in there because I really liked it and I wanted you to be able to see it. So I just did the front, back, inside, front. I am going to move on to my collar, and I'm gonna have to stay stitch the collar and then we can put on the other collar pieces. They want you to stay stitched in between the notches. So am I going to go all the way to the point? Yes. Hi Paisley, how are you? Welcome to my live. I'm Fantasia. This is Sewing with Tay. I think I'm gonna push these to the back. Tonight I am sewing a blazer. I've already sewn the pants, which I'm not finished with yet, but for the most part they're done. They just need a good pressing and a hem. I will need to double check them just to make sure that they are the measurements I need them to be, because sometimes things get a little off. You might have to make slight adjustments. So outside of that, the pants are done. So working on getting the jacket sewn. Hi Derek, thanks so much for joining. Thank you so much, I appreciate you. I appreciate the subscribers. I am trying to grow my TikTok, geez, I keep saying that. I want to grow my YouTube page. I am trying to I spend more time here on my YouTube page. I did that for a while, then I kind of gave up because I thought I wasn't doing that great at it. Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to try again. I'm going to do it again. So I'm back, spending more time on my YouTube page. Okay, the next thing we have to do is our undercolor. Undercolor. This is not it either. Oh no. I'm not sure. I am not sure. If you're new to the live, again, I wanted to remind you guys that you can like the live by clicking the 3 dots on this corner of your screen, and the like is there. There's no like button for the vertical live. That shows up kind of in the shorts feed from my understanding. So you will have to hit the 3 dots, and that's how you hit the like button. Anyone else on the live? Are you a sewer? Do you sew? Are you learning how to sew? Are you a new sewist? I have to iron this satin a lot because these creases are very strong. These fabric creases very well. So on YouTube Lives, you can send super thanks, which I honestly am not 100% sure how you do that. I'm still figuring it out. But you can send super thanks, and you can also send rubies or like gifts that correlate to rubies. I'm still learning about those too. But those are options on YouTube. And when you're interfacing, make sure you put the pebbly side down, because I almost just did that wrong. And that would be terrifying. Not be fun. I have to be very careful with this fabric because it is satin and it tends to leave watermarks, which is very unfortunate. Thank you. Sorry, I have to move my camera around. I'm doing a vertical live, so I don't have a place where I can set up where I can iron and sew, and you can see it. So I just kind of rotate my little camera. All right, so now we have our undercollar. We're going to pin this to our jacket this way. There's my notch, and I think this here is my notch there. Thanks so much for the hearts. I appreciate you so much. And what are the hearts and the like smiley faces? I didn't know those were options on here. There we go, right there. Put these notches together. So today's goal is to get this finished. Just make sure these are about the same. And then we're gonna pin it in between. I'm going to admit, sewing collars is not my favorite thing to do. It's difficult to make sure they're crispy and they look good. Between this and a welt pocket, it's not fun. I can do them, just not fun. All right, I think we are ready to sew this collar on. Let's sew it this way so we can see. Maybe we should sew it this way. Sew it that way. I'm gonna double check my pattern. Seems about right. No, I made a mistake. My collar got caught. My collar got caught in my seam. Oh, my seam. So take this out. There we go. Get that out the way. That was unfortunate. Get to the slit. And then we're gonna pick this up and we're gonna rotate the corner. And we're gonna keep going. And there you have it. We have an undercollar that is sewn on. All right, we have an undercollar sewn on. Get my hair out of my face. Whew, excuse me, sleepy. Okay, so we have our undercollar on our jacket. It looks pretty good. The next step, okay, it's interesting. I don't have to do the under collar, the upper collar. Well, I guess I sew the upper collar to the facing and the lining, and then we stitch it together. So according to the directions, I go to the sleeve next. So we're gonna sit her out the way. I feel like my sleeve has lining, and I'm like, does it need to? All right, here's my sleeve pattern. I actually did not make this any shorter, so we're gonna have to figure it out once I get it sewn together, but it does say lining, and I did not cut lining, so I'm gonna have to do that. But upper sleeve and undersleeve, E-stitching sleeve hem, pin upper sleeve to the undersleeve at the back, matching pin undersleeve to upper sleeve at front, matching remaining notches, basting, stretching between notches, stitch, E-stitch, turn up the sleeve hem, facing lining and upper collar, and we do the lining afterwards, so we're just gonna skip it for now. I'm gonna go here. No, but before I get too far, let's not forget. We have a notch there. Have a notch there. And there. There is no notches on the sleeve, but there are dots. Which is, I guess they're both on the bottom sleeve. I'm like a little chilly today. It's a little cold in Ohio. Alright. Thank you so much. If you're in the live, I'm Fantasia. My brand is Sewing with T.A.E, which is the Aya Emporium on Instagram and on Facebook. I teach sewing lessons and how to sew and how to do crafts and things like that on my YouTube channel. So if those things are your cup of tea, please subscribe to my channel to watch some of my videos. I currently have a hand knit tutorial on my website, and it is for hand knit teddy bears, my new little project. And I actually sewed my first tutorial today to somebody in Paris. I was very much shocked, not expecting that. My flabbers were gasted. My flabbers were gasted, as they say. Nope, this is the wrong side. You can like the live today by hitting those 3 dots in the top corner. You can also send gifts, which I definitely appreciate. They go to help support my small business. They have rubies on TikTok, vertical TikTok, why do I keep saying that? YouTube shorts. You can send rubies, and you can send super thanks, super chats. Those are there in the options. So this side, you'll see it's not actually lined up with this, so that means we need to slice this side to get it to fit. Yes, did you already purchase the tutorial from the website? They get emailed over after you purchase the tutorial. They come in a link, because in the tutorial you get pictures, descriptions, and there is a personalized video link for the tutorial where I do step-by-step on how to make the teddy bear. The tutorial is $8 on my website, and it's typically on the links to like any of the videos or pictures you might see. There's a link to the tutorial. It's $8 on my website, the Aya Emporium.com. I'm still learning how to do. You're welcome. Yes, the link should be on the video. It should be in the description maybe, or in the comments. Also, if you go to the original video where I talk about and I show you the bear and some of the aspects of it, the link should be there as well in the description. Okay. I find it interesting that the instructions for this jacket tells me to sew the sleeve, but then it tells me to hem it. But then I sew the lining for the sleeve, and the lining, the sleeve lining, like I'm not understanding. I have to hem it and then attach the sleeve lining. Sounds interesting. Sometimes the instructions for patterns don't really make sense in my opinion. Sometimes I like to follow them, but other times I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. We have a sleeve, a little two-piece sleeve. All right, put that there. Okay, they want you to catch the sleeve and sew a plate into the sleeve opening. Okay, I'm not doing that because I don't like it. Yes, it has you. Hi Nina, thanks for joining. It has me sewing the self sleeve to the body, and then it has you sewing the facing, the lining, and the upper collar together, sewing all of those pieces together, and then taking the lining and they want you to slip the sleeve lining over the sleeve, wrong sides together, placing the dots, matching the shoulders, and then turn under the sleeve lining and stitching along line of stitching, clipping underarms where necessary. But it looks like they want you to hand sew the sleeve to the jacket, and I'm not. I don't want to do that. So I'm not doing that. I'm just going to clean finish. Trying to think, can I clean finish the sleeve to the jacket and then clean finish the sleeve opening to the lining to the sleeve opening, and then just flip it inside out. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that much hand sewing. I just finished a bridal gown, a reception gown for a wedding, a bridal wedding reception gown, and I underestimate how much hand sewing, I cannot put words together today, how much hand sewing I was going to have to do. So I ended up doing hours and hours upon hours upon hours of hand sewing. I'm not hand sewing this sleeve lining into this jacket. I'm not doing it. So I'm just going to clean finish it because that's not happening. So we're not going to follow those instructions. But that's one thing I like about sewing. You can sew stuff however you want to sew it. You don't have to follow them instructions. As long as it gets the job done and it's what you want and it fits. Yes, I think so. I saw someone say you go to YouTube Shorts, and then if you click on it, it'll say live shorts. It'll say lives, like vertical live. But I don't know if you can just go to my page and see it. I haven't, I should try that and see what happens, because I'm still interested to figure out more about this YouTube vertical live situation, because a lot of it is not very clear to me. So let's see. Let me see if I can do it on my iPad. Let's see what happens. First, let's switch to not my account. And then let's go here, see what we can find. Yes, if you go to my page from your YouTube, I'm on my iPad right now, the live pops up on the screen. And you can, it's one of the first things that says I'm live right now. That's cool. I should have done this before to kind of get an idea of what it looks like, but this works. And it's interesting to see it this way. Sorry, I'm just looking at it to see what it looks like. Sorry, I'm just playing with this for a second just to... Oh, I see. So, super chats are at the bottom. There is a little heart and different emoji button at the bottom. That's if you're like not on your phone. I don't know how you do this rubies things though. That's really cool. Okay. Okay, let me close it. All right. Yes. Okay. So if I'm on Vertical Live, you can still go to the Vertical Live from my page. You can just go to my page. It says I'm live now, and you can find me there. So I'm going to sew this other sleeve. And then I'm going to get to sewing this lining. Again, if you haven't already and you're on your phone and you're on a cellular type of device, you can like the live by hitting the three dots in the right top corner. The like button is there. And I'm looking at this on the computer or on the iPad, and I don't necessarily see where it says like the likes and the live chats and all of that stuff. Well, there we have it. All right, let's sew this other sleeve. If you're on here and you want to help support my small channel, you can hit the super thanks button down at the bottom. Those funds do come to us instead of YouTube. Now the rubies and the gifts things, I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know exactly. Oh no, don't do that. I don't know exactly how it works, but you get rubies or jewel-like things when people send gifts on the live. So that is also always an option if you want to help support my small business. My business goals right now, I really, really, really want to buy an embroidery machine. I want a bigger embroidery machine. I do have one. I don't know, can you see it? Thank you. I do have a big embroidery machine right there. But I got that embroidery machine. Very thankful for that embroidery machine. It was stressful, but very thankful for that embroidery machine. It's a single arm Brother PRS 100 embroidery machine. I took a business course a couple years ago, and I was trying to learn more about developing my business, structuring my business, trying to grow my business, etc., etc. And because I went through that class, it was like 4 months of like twice a week classes with like a cohort or whatever. Cohort. Okay, not sure what happened to the rest of my stitches, but it decided it wasn't going to stitch, but it stitched the rest of it. Interesting. I went to a cohort class for business, like inspiring entrepreneur class, and when I did that, it gave me access to grants. So I live in Columbus, Ohio. I was able to get a grant from the city of Columbus, and I was able to use that grant as an asset grant to buy a piece of machinery, and that was the machinery I chose to buy. I don't remember exactly why I picked that one. It seemed like it was one of the ones I could afford because it was an asset grant. I had to pay for the equipment first and then be reimbursed from the city of Columbus. Very difficult. Not difficult to being reimbursed, difficult for me to afford the machinery and then pay for it. So I asked the city of Columbus, like, hey, if I finance this, will this work? And they said yes. I said great. And mind you, all of this was done via email, so it was all in writing. And it takes a while to go through the process. You got to submit what you're going to buy. You got to get it approved, and then you have to buy it. You have to do everything in these time frames. Well, I did all of those things, and then when I did them, they came back and they were like, no, you can't. You can only be reimbursed for what you actually paid, not for what you financed. So I was on the hook for a $5,000 piece of equipment, but I did a little bit of crowdfunding. I reached out to family, and I was able to come up with the money to pay for it, and then submit it to the city to be reimbursed. And then once I got paid back, I paid back my family. But then once I got the machine and I got to using the machine, and I realized that embroidery is not as crossover from like sewing to embroidery. It's a totally different world. It's a totally different universe when it comes to crafting, hobby, creating things, that I've had the machine for 2 years and I haven't really done everything that I want to do. And the one thing that I learned that I could not do was this machine has an embroidery maximum width of 8x8. And what I really wanted the machine for was to do like full front garments. And you can't do that with an 8x8 without splitting the thing, splitting the embroidery, or like all the things that make it a lot more difficult. So I'm trying to sell this machine and also buy another machine, because there are other machines that aren't as I don't know, name brand, I guess is the word I want to use. This is a brother, but there's some like Asian companies that make them, like Buy, and there's another one that I can't think of the name, but I know the Buy Mirror is the one that I've been looking at. But I got this one because I thought it was a brother. It would have like background on technology and like be efficient. It's fine, but the 8x8 embroidery hoop is very limiting for what I wanted to do. So I've been doing lives and I've been doing like extra activities to try to save up money to buy the other one and or sell this one and use that money to buy the other one, because you can get a Buy Mirror embroidery machine for 5-6 grand and it comes with all the stuff. And this machine cost 5-6 grand and it came with nothing. Like, it didn't even come with the table. It's an extra, I forget, $100 and something for the table that goes with the machine. And I was like, I'm not spending $100 on the table after I've already did all this work to spend $4,000, $5,000 on the machine. So I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna put it on the table that I have. But I also bought other things to go with it. So I have like a hat hoop there so that I can embroider hats. So I feel like I just need to keep working on my embroidery skills so that I can get more embroidery orders so that I then can pay for the new embroidery machine or finance it and then be able to afford the payments. So this is our jacket. I don't want to ease this in. I'm gonna see if it will fit. Excuse me. I'm gonna see if it's gonna fit without easing it in, but the issue that I have right now is there are no notches. I didn't cut the notches, which isn't gonna work. So here's the back. So if you want to buy super thanks or send me jewels, that would help support my journey on buying a new embroidery machine. That is my goal. I want a bigger, better embroidery machine. So that goes there, and then there should be, oh. Not that one. This is the sleeve. Go back over there. That is the figure out what I did with it. Alright, let's see what we got here. Sometimes I think you can put these sleeves in without easing them in. I've been sewing for a while now, so typically I can. And I just don't like to if I don't have to. Usually with a more woven garment, it's usually a little bit more one-to-one and you can get it in there without the gathering. I feel like whenever I do gather, I end up with like a bubble of some sort, and I'm always like trying to work it out. So let's see what we get here. This goes this way. I might have to. There's a lot of E's in here. Buzzy Burden, what type of stuff do you sew? I know you said you shared this out to your sewing group, which I really appreciate. I've been trying to create a sewing group for forever. I have a not a YouTube, I have a Facebook page that does absolutely nothing. Every day I contemplate, like, let's just delete this and start over, because why? Why do you still have this? No one's here, no one's commenting, no one's participating. And yet, I still share a post there. Okay, there's quite a bit left in here. One thing that I have to get used to when it comes to live streaming on YouTube is I don't know how or if people listen to music on YouTube. The one time I tried to listen to music while I sewed / did a live, it flagged me. So I'm always trying to find, you know, what do other people do? How do other people navigate their lives? Navigate their going live. It says there are 5 people on the live, and unlike other platforms, it doesn't show you who's on the live. So I don't know who you are, but thank y'all for watching my live. Excuse me. Yawning, it's getting late. Okay, let's see what we have here. Not sure how this is gonna go, but let's try it on for size. I should finish my coffee so that I can finish my sewing because I'm getting sleepy. Not too bad. All right. I guess I was supposed to be recording a video about that, but I decided to do a live instead. I'm gonna say there's pieces, there's aspects of this. So, do I think it's a hard pattern? I think the pants are very easy. The pants is very easy, very beginner friendly. I feel like there's no issue there. But the blazer, which is what I'm doing now, it has some aspects in it that are a little bit more not beginner friendly. So it has a TP sleeve, which is what I'm doing now. It also has a welt pocket, which I cannot stand a welt pocket, but I be trying. A welt pocket. And this actually has like a 2-part collar. Well, I guess they all have a 2-part collar, but I've seen easier collars than this, where it was all one piece and you just sewed them all together and then flip them. So I do think the jacket is a little bit more intermediate level, especially with how it's actually telling you to sew it. Like, it wants you to sew the self sleeve to the body, sew the inside facing lining pieces together to the body, and then slip stitch in the sleeve lining, which, yes, you can do that, but that's a lot of work and it's not as easy to do nicely. So I'm personally choosing not to do that, because I rather just clean finish it by sewing the sleeve lining to the seam allowance of the sleeve and the body, and clean everything in there and clean the sleeve openings together. So that's what I'm gonna do, because nobody got time for that. So yeah, it's just the jacket is a little bit up there. But there is a jacket, I don't even remember. It's a Mimi G pattern. She has a blazer. I think it's actually a blazer and short and a blazer and pant like outfit, and it has like a little tie on the side, a Mimi G pattern. I think that was the easiest collar that I've ever done, and I was like, what? This is nice. And I was like, I wouldn't have thought about, cutting the pattern this way. So I will say that there are a lot easier blazers than this. I picked this because I thought it was supposed to be a little bit on the simpler side, but the pants are really easy though. The pants just have 6 pieces, a front, back, 2 pocket pieces, and 2 waistband pieces. It's very simple to do. And it doesn't have a fly. And I didn't realize that when I bought it. Fly is another thing that I just don't like sewing. And I didn't realize it didn't have a fly. It has an invisible zipper on the side. And I think zippers can be difficult, but I feel like in this instance, the hardest thing about the pant is the zipper. And if you know how to sew a zipper, then you're fine. But again, an invisible zipper is just using an invisible zipper foot, and you're 90% of the way there. I'm just being lazy. I don't know if this is lazy or more work, but I don't want to ease the sleeve in. So I'm just going to slice it and stretch in between. I'm just going to snip the curve and pin through the fullness so that I don't have to do the gathering stitches and all of that on the sleeve. feel like I have a piece of fluff in my eye. Some of this fabric is it frays, so I'm like getting little floaty cotton pieces around, and I'm like, I think one of them got me in that. All right, let's see how this sleeve goes. Yeah, it's not that easy to do it this way. I don't know. I just sometimes prefer it that way because I feel like whenever I sew with the gathering stitches, I feel like I more likely tend to get like little bumps and gathers in the seams versus when I do it this way, I kind of like walk the fullness a little easier, and I tend to end up with less like lumps and bumps. So that's why I tend to not do it, but also like I tend to just sew things however I kind of want to. But I feel like when I do it this way, like I'm less likely to have like little pleats and gathers from where I gathered it up. Like I feel like the seam tends to be a little bit smoother. But that also comes with like taking your time. And most of the time I'm just like, I just want to sew this and get it over with. And I tend to not gather it. But it works either way. You just have to be a little more careful. Make sure you don't have any fabric that's pleated over each other when you gather. So that was this whole body. So we have the undersleeve, the front to back. We have the lining in there. And we have the 2 sleeves. And then the next thing I would need to do is the lining pieces. This jacket lining piece has a cutout dart. So very this pattern is interesting though. Oh, there it is. I'm like, this pattern is interesting because most patterns on princess seams have 2 notches on princess seams. But I noticed on the princess seams on the outer jacket, there was only 1 notch. And I just didn't quite understand why. I think it just comes with practice. I have been sewing for a very long time. I've been sewing for, 15 years, something like that. I've been sewing since I was 15. I took a fashion course in high school. I don't want to say a fashion course like it was a class, but I went to a career center for fashion. So at the career center, I did fashion for half a day. So I would go to Career Center in the morning time, and then I would go to regular high school in the afternoon. So I spent half a day every day for 2 years learning how to sew. And then from there, my professor, I had a sewing instructor, design instructor, and I also had a illustration instructor. I had an illustration instructor, and the illustration instructor was from Columbus College of Art and Design. So he taught us how to illustrate while in high school. He's an amazing drawer. And he went to Kent State University, and he helped me put my portfolio together. And then I went on to go to Kent State University. So kind of once I learned how to sew, I never stopped sewing. So I started sewing at 15. I went on to college for fashion design. I ended up with a degree in fashion design, and I concentrated in manufacturing and production. And I am currently a apparel technical designer for a major plus size brand. So I do that when I'm not doing this. So I've been sewing for a long time, so you learn a lot of tricks to the trade as you go along. Me personally, I do like to call myself a sloppy sewist. I just like to sew things. It feels good to make things with your hands, things that you like, oh, I want that, but I'm not paying that for that, so I'm going to just make it. So sometimes I just make things. I'm just like, nah, it doesn't have to follow the rules. It doesn't matter. As long as you get the end result that you're looking for, no one can see how it's made. Unless it looks bad, then they can say that. But for the most part, if you know what you know how to get to the end result, it doesn't matter if you're following industry stitch codes or design details. So this pattern piece is weird. I'm gonna try to sew it just as is and see what happens. If you're still watching the live, make sure you hit those 3 dots in the top right hand corner, and you can hit the like button. Honestly, I don't know if that means anything on YouTube, but I tell people to like it anyways. We have 8 likes. Oops, ow. I dropped my scissors. Or not really my scissors, my snips. I don't know if the likes mean anything on YouTube compared to like, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. I don't know if the likes and things mean anything on YouTube in comparison to like other streaming platforms, but you can hit the like button. You can also subscribe to my channel, and there is also super thanks. You can hit the little $sign thing at the bottom, I believe it looks like, next to the chat box, depending on how you're watching today. You can hit that to give out a super thanks or a super chat to support my business, my small business. And I don't want to sew this that way. I don't like it. I'm gonna do it this way. You can support my small business by sending super chats, super gifts. You can also buy gifts in the gift gallery by purchasing rubies, and you can send rubies, and those are amazing as well. I've only gotten a couple of those, and I actually don't really know what to do with them. So rubies are great gifts if you want to gift while you're watching the live. Let's see. This is oh yeah, I feel like sewing is one of those things where you can never like, you're always continuing to grow, you're always continuing to learn, and they have so many AI things out now that makes it a lot easy to like learn and get practice in and stuff like that. So I've been doing this for a long time. I'm just like, things that are easy to me, I'm just like, I think it's really simple, and some people are like, Fantasia, it's not that simple. So I'm always just like, well, you tell me what you don't know, and I'm here to kind of help. Like, I give you my tips and tidbits for being a sewist of 18 years. And it's like, again, like I said, I started sewing and I kind of just never stopped. I've been sewing ever since I learned how to sew at 15 in Career Center. And our Career Center was nice. It wasn't like, sometimes I feel like I have to say this because people don't really have a concept of like kind of what it was. It wasn't like home ec. Our Career Center, the building, was owned by Lex Wexner. And Columbus, Ohio, which is where I'm located, is the third biggest the third biggest fashion city in the United States. So Lex Wexner owned our building. We were right up the street from Express Home Office, Victoria's Secret Home Office, and some other at the time limited brand home office. So we had very good equipment. So I learned how to sew on an industrial machine like this. We didn't have any home sewing machines. We had all industrial machines, industrial sewing machines, blind hammers, embroidery machines. So they really taught us from the beginning how to sew on this level, and that's what made it so easy to transition into college, because when I got to college, this is also what we used. I have a Juki machine. I used a Juki in high school, I used a Juki in college, and then I graduated college and I couldn't afford a Juki and I had a home machine. I didn't sew on a home machine until, like, unless I was not in school or when I graduated. So we really had a good foundation to start with as we went into the industry. So it's definitely one of those things that you're like, I'm grateful for the experience, because I remember for a fact I did not even want to go to the Career Center. I just went because we got out of school half a day to go on the field trip. And I went there and I'm like, oh, this fashion program is kind of cool. Maybe I'll try this. And I did it for 2 years and actually loved it. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Like, I've been doing a lot of sewing for other people and I haven't sewn a lot for myself. So sometimes I'm just like, I don't have the motivation to get anything done, because I'm doing things other people want, not things that I actually want. So I definitely get that. All right, we have to go back. So I'm just clipping all of my notches. Oh, there are some extra pieces, like circles and things, but I have to attach my interfacing. So I will wait for those things until after I get her attached. And I have to use this pattern again, so I did make some adjustments to this pattern by making it a little bit shorter. So I have some pins in the pattern to hold it to the length that I decided was good for this. Okay. So I have to iron my pieces. Oh man, I can imagine. I did take some little classes as a kid, and they had like home, like we were hand sewing, like we hand sewed like a pillowcase or something. And like I was in a girls group or something, and they taught us hand sewing, like simple projects. I have to be careful with this fabric because it is satin, and I feel like every drop of water that gets on this leaves a mark. have it. There's one. Hot. All right. All right, a little sip of my coffee. Ooh, it's 10:30. All right. So we have our facings. This fabric is so stiff. Pretty sure that's, ow, I heard it. I poked myself a lot, but that one was a nice step. Got me good. I am going to match up my notches. Make sure that everything looks good. Okay, and we have, oops, put that up. All right, sew her together real quick. I need to change my needle. Oh yes, I have to keep the interfacing on there. Make sure it's crispy. Hopefully it's not too crispy. And here we have our lining, our front facing, and our lining. That needs to be pressed, but get to that in a second. And then we have the other side. I'll do this one. My body doesn't know what it wants. I'm chilly up here because it's kind of cold outside now. And I turn on my little space heater and immediately I get too warm. Actually, I need to drink some water. I'm not sure where the water is. Oh, I think it's behind me. All right, we have our facing pieces attached. Wasn't sewing anything. No, I'm making this for someone else. Someone asked me could I make them a little suit. So I am making a little satin suit for a client. I haven't actually sewn for myself in a hot second. I actually made a pair of pants for myself last week because it was my birthday. I tend to make an outfit for myself every year on my birthday, but I just finished a big bridal order that was taking so much of my time. I didn't have time to sew anything for myself, so I just made myself like a pair of pants, and they were cute. Some little slide-on bubble gauze pants, and that was it. Alright, we have the lining done. Now, what does this actually say? Stitch side seams of lining, side, front, and back together. Base seam allowance together, close to raw edge, finish with double fold bias tape. I'm not doing that either, actually. So I think from this point, I'm just gonna sew it the way I want to until I get to, oh wait, I'm missing a section, missing a piece. This is what I'm missing. Okay. I need to do the upper collar. And it's attached to this, but that would also mean I need to do the back. Yeah. I have to do the back. Oops, don't rip your pattern. Alright, we have to go back to the iron because I didn't press any of these apparently. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, birthdays are over, And my son's birthday is right after mine, so his birthday was Sunday. So like we did my birthday, we did his birthday. And now we are done for 2 months because my son's birthday is exactly, my other son's birthday is exactly 2 months after my first son's birthday. So we get a couple weeks off and then back to birthday planning. You don't know until you try. I definitely think if you're up for the challenge, it's a good one to try, but there's a lot of stuff in here. Also, blazers in general aren't really my favorite thing to make. So, I also could be biased. Okay. There we have it. And then I'm going to have a serger here. So I just finished that edge. I'm going to top stitch it. Thank you. Yeah, he had a big birthday this year. He turned 10. So we had a whole little shindig. I wouldn't be opposed to that idea. I think that's a great idea. Find a different pant to do instead of this jacket. Okay. Now I need to sew the collar. So I'm just now going to try to get this upper collar into the lining facing etc. area. I'm going to put some clips into this back neck. See if we can get this facing slash collar to go into here nicely. Alright, let's see how this goes. Okay, let's keep going. Take out these 1001 pins. Alright, we have an upper collar. And then now we have to sew them together. My only issue with this is that there isn't a back. So I have to finish the sleeve somewhere. Well, this part isn't so bad. The part that had me stressed out was the pocket, the welt pocket. That part is not on camera. Alright, so this looks pretty good. So the difficult part of constructing the jacket when it's this way is this becomes your notch. So you have to sew from here to this point here, all the way to where those two stitches line up. So from here down, and then you need to pull the seam allowance back and stitch this way, starting right at that stitch. If you don't, there'll be a hole right there, and it won't look good, and you're gonna hate it. And that always happens to me. So you have to be very careful when sewing that piece, that part, because sometimes it just doesn't line up and it doesn't look the way, ow, poke myself again. It doesn't look the way you want it to. Yes, I am getting tired myself. I'm getting ready to log off because I am ready to go to bed myself. I have little children who I have to take to school in the morning, so I'm only going to be on for about 10 more minutes, and then I'm heading to bed myself. So good night. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. This away. I'm gonna try starting here instead of ending here. And well, I guess it doesn't matter because you have to end on the opposite side, but ow. I've seen people do that and be more successful. Ow, I just keep poking myself today. You don't want to go over though, because if you go over a stitch, it's still going to give you the same issue of it not looking that great. So you have to make sure you're right on the money when it comes to that stitch. I'm going to pull this seam allowance down and then sew straight down. Pull this the other way. many pins. Alright, now for this one, going to do the same thing, but we're going to start up. Oh, thank you. I'm trying. I try to explain as I go because the live videos will go to my YouTube channel. So if someone wants to watch the YouTube channel later, they can kind of have a little bit of context and they can watch the live later. Sorry. If they want to watch the live later, then they can kind of understand what I was doing. It's not like a tutorial where I'm showing you how to do everything, but just kind of push you through like, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it this way instead of what's on the paper. And then you can, you know, decipher what you need and what you don't need later. All right, we have sewn all of the lining together. And I'm going to need to flip this, but I want to understitch it, but I don't see that on there anywhere where it asks you to understitch. I don't know if I really want to understitch it because I don't want the stitching to be 100% visible, but I feel like blazers always look better with understitching, and it's not in the instructions anywhere. So let's just see. I'm gonna trim a little bit, not so much, because if I do decide to understitch, I'm gonna need a little extra width and a seam allowance so that I can actually get in there to do it. So I'm gonna trim all of these seam allowances about halfway. Thank you to those of you who are still in the room watching. I appreciate you. If you, again, want to send a super thanks for watching my live, giving out sewing tips, answering sewing questions, you can hit the super thanks, give a super chat in the bottom of your live, or you can hit the buttons, 3 buttons at the top, 3 dots. So you can make sure you like the live. You can also share the live out. I appreciate that as well. I am wrapping up. But if you want to show your appreciation for sitting in the live with me for the last 99 minutes, I'm about to hit the 100-minute mark for streaming today. I'd appreciate it. I am looking for super thanks to help support my small business, help me purchase my new embroidery equipment that I am trying to obtain. And I think we might be ready to flip. I got me a little point turner. Even though I have my nails on, they tend to make it easier to flip. I like to start by pushing out all the corners and then pushing out everything else. The instructions per the booklet, this looked like it went a stitch too far. It wants me to hand stitch the back neck together. We're gonna see if I actually do that. Right? Yeah, I can tell this went a stitch too far. This one looks good. This is kind of what I was trying to explain to you guys. You want to make sure that you're like get that corner perfect, because if you don't, then you'll end up with a hole right here and where your notch collar is. So the goal was to make sure you stitch right to that seam and then stitch right off that seam into the point. Thank you. Thank you for staying with me. Oh yeah, it's 11 o'clock. It's my bedtime too. I'm like eager to get through this last piece of this, and then I'm going to be logging off myself as well. Okay. So here is the, I don't drop it. Here is the pretty much the inside of the jacket. This is part of the facing. It goes inside like so. This, once it's steamed and laying nicely, will look like that on the body, but it looks like I clipped that stitch a little bit too far, so I'm gonna have to go back in there and stitch this corner back together. Okay, which one are you? That looks like the whole thing. Alright, see what we can fix here. Oops, popping it out anymore. Okay, there we go. I see. I sewed one side a stitch too many, and then that's when it came out. So let's try to get her sewn back. Try not to go over the stitch. Then this one goes up like that. guys, I think I'm getting ready to go to bed, call it night. Get all of these things pinned up, ready to be pressed and attached. Alright, good night guys. I will see you maybe tomorrow.